He was the fourth in line, but he spoke up when it counted most. One man's roar would shake the very foundations of Egypt and change the course of history. This is the story of Judah, the lion of his people, whose courage and determination would forever alter the fate of his family and his people. This was a man whose name would define an entire people, a warrior, a leader, a kingmaker, a man whose choices would change history forever. His name was Judah. Our story begins with a woman named Leah. She was the first wife of Jacob, the patriarch, the son of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Yet Leah always felt overshadowed because Jacob's true love was his wife Rachel. But when she gave birth to her fourth son, she felt something change, vindicated by the new addition to the family. She now had 4 sons. She named him Judah, meaning praise, because she finally felt she had received her due portion of joy. Judah was strong, bold, a leader even among his older brothers. But what happens when leadership is used the wrong way? One day, Judah and his brothers watched as their younger brother Joseph approached them in the fields. They were filled with jealousy. Joseph had dreams that he would one day rule over his brothers. He shared these dreams openly, telling them, "I saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing to me." His brothers saw this as arrogance, but there was something more. Their father, Jacob, openly favored Joseph, giving him a special coat, a sign of leadership. The brothers feared that Joseph was being positioned to lead the family. Would their own roles be diminished? Would Joseph one day rule over them? Their resentment grew, and their jealousy burned. Some wanted to kill him. Others hesitated. But it was Judah who spoke up. "What gain will we have if we kill our own brother? Instead, let's sell him. He is our flesh after all." They pulled Joseph from the pit and sold him to a passing caravan of Ishmaelites. As Joseph was led away in chains, he turned back, his eyes filled with fear. Judah looked away. He thought he was being wise, but was he? For 22 years, his father Jacob mourned the loss of Joseph, believing him dead. Judah, too, would suffer for his actions. Years later, Judah faced a scandal of his own. His daughter-in-law Tamar married Er, who died from his sins. By law, she remarried the next son, Onan, and he too died from his sins. By law, she was to marry Shelah to keep it in the family. But Shelah was a young boy. She waited for him to grow older, but when he did, Judah hadn't given Tamar the go-ahead to marry Shelah. Tamar took matters into her own hands. She disguised herself and approached Judah while he was on the road. Without recognizing her, Judah gave her his staff and seal as a pledge. A few months later, Tamar was found pregnant, and Judah was enraged. She should be marrying Shelah, not getting married to someone else. "Bring her out! Let her be punished!" But then, Tamar stepped forward and revealed the truth. She held out his staff, Judah's own seal. His face turned pale. "She is more righteous than I. What I did was wrong. Not giving her Shelah was wrong." In that moment, Judah learned humility. He took responsibility. He became a different man. Judah eventually married Tamar, and they had twin boys, Perez and Zerah. They would become nations of their own. Great kings would later come from them. But the greatest test was yet to come. When famine struck, Judah and his brothers traveled to Egypt for food. There, they met a powerful Egyptian ruler, one who held their brother Simon and then Benjamin captive. "The one who stole my goblet will remain here as my slave. The rest of you go home to your father." Judah stepped forward. His voice was steady but filled with fire. "This cannot happen. I swore to my father that I would bring him back safely." And this was not just an empty promise. Before leaving Canaan, Judah had personally guaranteed Benjamin's return. He had told Jacob, If I do not bring him back to you, I will be eternally guilty before you. Judah did not just put his honor on the line, he put his very portion in the world to come at risk. He had no choice. He had to bring Benjamin home, but the Egyptian ruler remained unmoved. And yet, the law is the law. Judah's eyes burned with fury. His voice thundered, shaking the very walls of the palace. His rage cracked the stone beneath his feet. His roar was so powerful that all of Egypt trembled. Now things get even crazier. Judah's nephew Hushim, the son of Dan, was deaf. He couldn't hear, but he had other heightened senses. He felt the vibration of the floor trembling from miles away. He knew this could only be one thing: his uncle Judah. So he hurried his way over to the palace where Judah and his brothers were. He found them and roared with Judah, "He is here to help destroy Egypt." Joseph saw that they were serious. He was a man of strength himself. Joseph crushed a pillar of stone like it was a piece of cake. Judah realized he was dealing with someone serious. He sent his brother Naphtali to find out how many marketplaces Egypt had. There are 12. That's it. Judah would destroy the entire Egypt with his brothers. I'll take on 3, and the rest of you 9 will take on 1 each. Joseph saw the fire in Judah's eyes. He remembered the strength his brothers had when they killed the whole Shechem to avenge their sister, Dinah. If Judah declared war, nothing would be left standing. Joseph knew it was time. "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" The brothers froze. The world seemed to stand still. The brother they had sold was standing before them. Not a slave, not a prisoner, but the ruler of Egypt himself. Judah, who had once sold his brother, now stood before him, willing to sacrifice everything to save another. And in that moment, Joseph knew his brothers were righteous. Joseph and Benjamin embraced and cried over each other's shoulders. They met for the first time as brothers since Benjamin was a little baby. Word reached Jacob. His son Joseph was alive. The entire family prepared to move to Egypt, where Joseph would provide for them. But before they arrived, Judah went ahead. Why? The verse says that Jacob sent Judah to prepare the way. Judah was sent to establish places of learning. Even in Egypt, even in exile, the family of Israel would study the Word of God. Before houses were built, before food was secured, Judah ensured that the study of God's wisdom would continue. Years later, as Jacob lay on his deathbed, he called his sons to bless them. To Judah, he gave something unique. "The scepter shall not depart from Judah." Judah is a lion, royal, and feared by all. Judah's descendants would rule Israel. From him would come King David, King Solomon, and one day, the Messiah himself. Judah's story is the story of transformation. From a man who made mistakes to a leader who redeemed himself. From a brother who sold his own flesh to a warrior who fought to protect his family. And from a simple son of Jacob to the ancestor of kings. The Jewish people bear his name Judah to this day. If you are faced with impossible choices, would you have the courage to stand up for what's right, no matter the cost? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an epic story from the Bible. Join us next time as we dive deeper into the incredible lives of the figures who shaped history.